welcome. Thanks for joining me today. It's a bit rainy and a little dreary, so I thought I wanted to make something bright and cheerful today. Honestly, the project that I'm going to be sharing today, it kind of morphed. I was originally going a completely different direction and ended up changing my mind along the way. So I'm going to make something with flowers today. I'm still making a birthday card, that is definite, because I can always use more birthday cards. But I thought I would switch gears from more of a critter card to florals. So that's where I'm going to be going with today's video. I hope you can hear me. If you want to leave me a comment in the chat and let me know how the sound is, just so that way we make sure you guys can hear everything. Hi, Monica. It's nice to have you joining today from France. That's quite a distance. It must be quite late there. So today I'm going to be using products from Simon Says Stamps Rain or Shine collection. One of them in particular, I'm going to pop down to my desk so you can see it, is this beautiful stamp set. It's called Butterfly Blossoms. And I wanted to use this set because it's really fun for not just stamping and coloring, but there are coordinating stencils that match up with this stamp set so that you can actually color these really easily. And I love that. It's so much fun to be able to pull out your inks and be able to color your stamped images really easily, and you don't have to fuss with shading or any types of mediums. So I'm going to be using this stamp set. Oh good, Monica says that the sound is good. Hi Sylvia, thanks for joining me today. Yeah, so I'm working with the Butterfly Blossom set today. This was also in the April card kit from Simon Says Stamp. That kit is no longer available. However, it was also part of the Rain or Shine collection. So that's what we're going to be using today along with the stencils. And there are coordinating dies for the stamp set, but I do not have them. So I'm going to do some traditional stamping onto a panel. So I have a panel already prepped here. This is from the Fringed Scalloped frame set from Memory Box. I love these. These are so beautiful. There's a whole set of them, different sizes going down to quite small. But what's really pretty about them is the fact that they have this wonderful detail along the scallops. So you've got that really nice little fringe effect, and then it's even got some little marquee dots, which I think is really cute. So this is what I'm going to be stamping on today. And I did decide that I think as I'm going along here, I'm going to end up cutting out some of the butterflies so we can pop those up. So why don't we pull out our Misty here so I can work on my stamping, because I'm going to do that first, get all of the stamping done, and then we can work on coloring. Hope everyone is having a good weekend so far. I have my cats wandering around, so you may hear, like Thomas right now is over on the cat scratcher making noise. So if you hear little funny noises throughout the live, they're just hanging out and having fun. I'm putting the panel here in the middle of my Misty, and I actually might bring it up just a little bit more. I have this inside, or sitting on top of a Simon Says Stamp Craft Tacky Mat so that it'll hold my paper in place. The reason I want to put the paper in the middle of my Misty is because I want to stamp off the edges, so I want to make sure I have room to be able to keep the stamps able to go off the edge of the paper. Hi, Barbara from Canada. You are working on your 7th card. Oh my goodness. Wow. I have not made 7 cards today. Let's see. I'm going to I want to use, I think, 2 of these images because they're really pretty. And I think it would be fun to have like a mix. I like maybe putting this larger image over here like so. And then I might stamp it again another time over on the other side. So let's start first with maybe something along these lines. I'm trying for like a wildflower garden. I feel like that would be so pretty. I think that would look cute. And then I can bring this image down over here, I think. Though I'm not sure I like that large stem there. Maybe I should do it on this side. Thinking through this here. You know what? I think we're just going to stick with the one style because I think then I can do this and then I can bring this down a little bit maybe. Yeah, let's try that. All right, I definitely want the large image here. I really like this like lilac looking image. So I'm going to be stamping with VersaFine Clair ink today. This is a really great dark black ink from Simon. It's co-branded with Sukaneko. And it is perfect for using with your inks so that you can blend over top. It stays really black, so you don't have to worry about the ink that you put over top dulling the black ink, which I really like. Okay. So I'm stamping that first image there. Oh, that looks so pretty. I think I missed a spot though. Let me ink that up. There we go. I missed inking up that little spot right there along the bottom. There we go. Okay. So I have my first impression stamped. Hi, Michelle. Nice to have you here. You have the sun. Oh, I'm jealous because it is wet and rainy here. I do need to clean this off just so that I can reposition it on my paper and not get any ink where I don't want it. Okay, so I cleaned that off just a little bit. Dry it off to make sure I don't get any wetness anywhere. And I'm going to come in. I'm going to let this kind of overlap just a little bit down here along the left, just because I want to create the effect as if these are together, like in a whole grouping. Maybe I'll do that, and then maybe I'll just continue it across. That would look pretty, actually. See, I told you I didn't really have a total plan here. I'm just kind of winging it as we go along. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so we're going to stamp this again using the black ink. I really love how these flowers have such a sketchy feel. It's really pretty. Hi, KB. Rainy Ohio, too. You've been getting a lot of storms out in the Midwest area. I've been seeing that on the news and stuff. It's been like horrific, these tornadoes and the flooding. Okay, one more time we're going to stamp this because we're going to have like this nice little cascade of flowers going across the card here. Hi, Thomas. If you can hear my cat Thomas in the background. He's giving his opinion. Hi, Sheila. Nice to have you. Okay, one more time so we get that nice border of flowers along here. Okay. There we go. Okay, we got a really nice assortment here. And this is going to be so much fun to take our stencils and color these in. Okay. Now I also want to add a butterfly or two here. So I'm going to grab those and I'm going to stamp them onto just a scrap of white paper here that I have. And the paper that I'm using for all of my stamping, and then consequently we'll be working on turning this into our card panel and whatnot. This is all Simon Says Stamp 120 pound white cardstock. Thomas, Sheila says hi to you. He's very vocal. Okay, let's see. What do we want for butterflies? I love this side view. Definitely that one. And maybe one of the itty bitty ones. And perhaps this guy here. Then we have like 3 different sizes. And I'll fussy cut these butterflies out. They're not too hard to cut out. I want to leave a little bit of room around each of these so I can easily color them. Because the stencils, there's just 2 layers of the stencils. And so like you've got the butterflies here on the different layers. These are marked, and I'll show you as we go to color. These are marked to match up with the numbers and letters on the stamp set. So it makes it really easy to know which part of the stencil goes where. All right, same black ink I'm using for these guys. We're just gonna go ahead and stamp these down. If you wanted to, you could go ahead and dry these images, because I mean this is a pigment ink, so it does stay wet a little bit longer. I find sometimes depending upon how long the image has sat, it doesn't need to be dried, but because I have quite a bit of stamping on here, I am going to do that just to be safe. Okay, I'm gonna put my stamps back so I don't lose them. Okay, and while I'm here, let me show you the numbering system in case you haven't seen this stamp set yet up close. All right, So if you notice here, the stamps each have a corresponding alphanumeric for each of the images. Those allow you to be able to find on the stencil what part of the stencil matches up with it. So we have B5 here on the stencil. That means it matches up with the B5 stamp. So this, as you can see, lines up perfectly, so you can just color it in. It's really easy. Yeah, Sheila, you can use this inspiration for using the kit. I loved the kit colors. Oh my gosh, the yellows in the kit were beautiful. The kit is sold out now, but we are getting close to the next kit, which would be May, and that'll come out on April 14th. So that's always exciting. Let's see. So I want to dry these real quick just to make sure that I have everything completely dry. They don't need much, just a little bit. For a pigment ink, the Nocturne dries pretty fast. But because we have so much here, I just wanted to be doubly sure. Okay, so we're ready to do some stenciling. I'm going to use this brand new super large craft tacky mat from Simon Says Stamp. I know it's a little hard to see on my white background, but this is, I believe it's the 9x12 size. It's huge and it's fantastic for when you've got a lot to work on. So I can like put my piece over here, and then I can bring in my ink color and put that here so it's not going to shift. It's a really nice big surface. Okay, so this image that we're working with was F3. So I need to find F3 on the stencils, which is this one here. So let me move this one out of the way. I love these craft tacky mats because they are so convenient for being able to hold things. You don't need tape, which I love not having to have extra trash. So if I can reduce my waste, I like doing that. Okay, so I'm over here, I'm putting my stencil and my paper, and then I'm going to keep my ink pads over here as I'm working on them. So for the ink pads that I've chosen today, I wanted something bright and cheerful and springy. So this is what I've got. I mean, this is quite bright. So we've got Positively Saturated inks from Simon Says Stamp. This is Surf, Lilac, Peachy, Peony, Zest, and Fairway. I love the brightness of these colors, and I think they're going to look really cute as this like beautiful wildflower scene. So I'm going to start first with, I think, Lilac, because I want to color these tall guys with that purple for sure. And to make it easy on myself, I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see a little better. To make it easy on myself, I'm going to use small blending brushes because these are going to allow me to get into these little teeny tiny spaces really easily. So I have a mix here. I've got Simon Says Stamp small blending brushes, and then these are from Waffle Flower. They have this really nice fine little blunt point. So I'm going to use a mix of these as I'm blending. So let's go ahead and bring in some lilac. I like to start off the stencil and then work my way in, just so that way I don't overwhelm the stencil with the ink. So this is just a nice soft purple color. Let's see. I think I'll also color these little guys. Maybe I'll do those in pink. Let's try a little pink on them. They're so small that there's not a ton of areas that are going to show ink. So I just kind of want to pick a color that's going to show up well. I think the pink is going to work nice for that. Okay. So now I'm going to slide this stencil over because what I want to do is I also want to work with the same colors as I go across and not get them contaminating into other areas. So I'm going to start with these pinks and purples, and then I'll wipe off my stencil a little bit and then go back through and add the other colors such as the yellow and orange. Okay. So let's now come back in with the purple, color these in, and then a little bit more of that pink. And what's also nice is we still have some of that ink on our stencil, so it's picking up a little of that too. Okay. And then we'll just need to slide this over one more time to color in this last batch. There we go. And as you can see, the stencil is being held down really well. Not having any issues with it moving. That is so convenient because then you're not having to worry about any shifting, and then you have your ink blending all off kilter. Okay, so we've got our purple and pink done. That looks super cute. Okay, I'm gonna put these aside. And I just want to wipe off my stencil just so that way I don't get that ink anywhere else. So off camera here, I'm just taking my stamp chamois and I just wiped off that extra ink. Okay, now we're going to line that image back up again over here, starting on the left. And now I'm going to bring in my yellow and orange. I think those will be the colors I work with next. I do have teal, which I want to make sure I incorporate as well. But I'm going to start with these guys. All right, so I've got yellow and then orange. And then, let's see, I think we'll do some of these in the yellow. And these little round blending brushes are getting into these little spots really easily. As you can see, I'm not having to worry about like masking any areas off. The color's going down really well. I'm not having to worry about any contamination into the next part of the image. Okay, and then let's see, let's bring in a little orange. I'll use this size. And just kind of bring that in. And I think then I'll do these guys in teal and then this one in orange too. I think that's how we're going to do this. Okay, there we go. And then let's bring that teal in before we slide the stencil over. So I have my teal up here in the top area. This one's Surf. And we're just going to use a small blending brush to color those guys in. Oh, I forgot the green. I got to do these little leaves. And we got some leaves up here. We'll do that as one more layer because I don't want to get that contaminating my other colors. So we'll do the green then as its last layer. Okay. I don't know why I put the lid on my teal because I gotta come back in here. All right, let's see. Orange. This one was orange. Now my other orange flowers are off the screen or off the panel now, so I just have one orange flower here on this layer that I'll color. And then I've got a couple of yellows here. Isn't this so easy though? I mean, like if you were going to have to color this with markers, these images are so small. It's going to take you quite a bit of time to fiddle with the shading and whatnot, and this just makes it so easy. I love this. Okay, so I do have one orange flower that I've got peeking here, so I'll make sure to color that one orange with my little orange brush. And the same with this orange flower here. Okay, and then finally I gotta color in the teal. Okay, this is looking so cute. Then my thought is I will maybe bring in a little of the orange and the yellow along the top here to kind of like balance the colors out. I think that would look really pretty. Okay. Yeah, Sylvia, the stenciling is so fast. And then it's fun because you could even then too, when you're done with your coloring with with like your inks, then you can come back in and lay the stencil back down and do maybe a paste or something. Now, because I've got 3 of these across, I'm not going to try to do that because that could become a mess real quick. But if I just had a single image, I would totally consider bringing in like maybe a clear glitter paste and applying it over top of my stenciling because that would look gorgeous. All right, we got to put these away and bring in our green. All right, for this I'm using Fairway. It's a nice grass green. And there's just a couple spots that we need to add the green. I'm going to very carefully do that as I go by these flowers. Just a couple spots. And then shift the stencil over. And let that down. Oops. Shifted it as I placed it. There we go. Okay, now this one does overlap with the flower. I'm going to let it do so. See, it overlapped with the flower we have on the left. I'm going to let that go ahead and overlap because that just looks like it's layered. I like that. Okay, one more time. We'll come over here and add the last bit of green. Again, overlapping with this flower over here on the side. Hi, Mary. Thanks for joining today. All right, so we've got our border. Now we just need to color in our butterflies. I'm going to clean off this stencil, and we're going to move this out of the way so we don't get any ink on it. Clean off that. Make sure I clean off any ink here. All right, so I've got my butterflies, and let's see, we need to know which butterfly is what. We've got B1, so I guess we'll start with that. B1 is not on this layer of stencils, so it must be on this one. Yep, there's B1 right here. So we'll put that stencil down and color that in. I think, let's take a look here. I think we'll definitely do a pink butterfly because we've got just a little bit of pink here and I want to bring a little more in. So let's start with the Peony. We'll go ahead and color this one pink. And I don't know for sure if I'm going to use up all of these butterflies on the card, but I wanted to have them just in case I was going to use all three. Because I, of course, need to still leave room for my greeting. And I am leaving a little bit of a lighter area over here on the right just to make it look a little bit more dimensional. So if I just add a little bit of color, more concentrated on the left side, and then leave that right area a little bit lighter, it just makes the butterfly look a little bit more shaded. See? Isn't that pretty? Okay, peel that off. I'm going to clean the stencil again. Okay, let's see. Our next butterfly is this little guy. He is B4. I think that's on the other layer that we were working on before, and it is. He's down here along the bottom. So for this butterfly, I think I will do purple, and then we'll do teal for the other butterfly. So let's bring in a little bit of that lilac. I've got my lilac brush here. Now for this one, I'm going to concentrate most of the ink in the center. I'll start first by adding just a light little bit, and then I'm going to focus more of that right down the middle. It's not going to be super shaded, but it'll be just enough to make the outer edges of the wings a little bit lighter. It's subtle, but it adds a little bit of interest to the stenciling. Okay, clean off this one. And let's see, our last butterfly was B3. And I think we got to go back to the other layer now. Yes, B3 is here. So he's up in the top left here. And this one I'm going to color in teal. So I've got my surf. And same thing that I did for the little butterfly, but this one's going to be a little easier. We're going to focus most of the ink in the center and then just kind of feather it out as we go to the edges. Okay. Okay. And just like that, I have all of my images colored already. I mean, that was so fast and so much fun. Okay, so I think at this point, while I still have my mat out, I'm going to color in my background for this. Like I said, I'm thinking of doing like an orange and yellow, maybe even touch a little green through here, just to fill in the bottom just a little bit. Yeah, Tracy, this tacking mat is so convenient. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just add a little bit of green along the bottom. I'm using my small blending brush, as you can see, because I don't really want to cover over the flowers too much. I just want to kind of go in between them and just kind of feather in some of that color. And it'll just give the illusion that there's more greenery here. So very carefully, just bringing it through. And that's what's so nice about a small blending brush like this, is that it allows me to get into these tight areas easily. You don't have to do any masking, although I love doing masking. That's such a satisfying technique. When you have your mask and you do all of your blending and then you peel them off and you're like, oh my goodness, it's so pretty. Okay. Continuing on till we get to the other side here. Hi, Valerie. Nice to have you here. From Tennessee. I hope you're staying safe. I've seen so many of the flooding and heavy rains and tornadoes. Okay, I like that. And then I'm going to bring in larger brushes now. Because I want to fill in this background a little bit, I want to make sure I have a smooth blend. So I'm going to use Simon's larger brushes for this. I'll put my little ones away. And I'm going to bring back in Peachy and Zest. I think I'll start with Peachy first. And I'm going to go as light as possible here, because I don't want to add too much color where it overpowers then the flowers. I just want it to be subtle. I need to move the ink pad over here so I can get over here. Bring a little bit over here, kind of in between the flowers. Very soft. Very light hand. All right, now before I put Peachy away, I'll leave it out just in case I want to come back in. But now I'm going to bring in Zest and overlap a little bit with where I just ink blended, because you're getting a second color in between. So you've got not just the peachy color now, but we're creating like that pretty transition between the yellow and the orange. So, and I will bring a little over here, kind of where it meets up with that green, just kind of feathering it in. Bring a little down here. I kind of want it to feel like a late evening, you know, where it's really pretty out and you've got the fireflies starting to come out. Just that really pretty time of the night before it gets dark. Lori, how's Oscar? He is good. He was here a little bit ago. So was Thomas. Thomas was telling us all about his life. But they are both doing well. And I actually have 4 cats in total. So I've got Allie, Maddie. Those two are Calico and a Tuxedo. And they're super cute, but they're a lot more quieter and shy compared to Thomas and Oscar. Thomas and Oscar have the personalities, and they, oh my gosh, they are always getting into trouble. We just took Thomas to the vet just to make sure he's doing good. They're 6 now, so you got to keep up, make sure that they're nice and healthy. So he's getting his blood work done. Okay, so I've got my background. Wouldn't it be cool if we splattered that with a little bit of a shimmer mist? Because that would kind of give that like sparkly firefly effect. Let's do that. Let me grab my shimmer mist. So the shimmer mist I like to use is from Brutus Monroe. This is their Pearl. And I'm just going to use the bottle. You could get a brush, and a lot of times I do, but I'm just going to wing it right now and tap this across my project with just the tip of the nozzle here. And I'm just trying to dab off any excess so I don't get too many big like glops. And I know it's going to be a little hard to see right now, but I'm going to show you. I'll tip it in the light so you can see it better. How this creates such a pretty shimmery effect. So I'm just tapping this across. Oh, Valerie, you have 3 cats, 2 of them in your lap right now. Aww. Oscar sits in my lap every night, every morning. He sleeps on me. When I go to bed, he is in my bed, sleeping on top of me. He does not like to be apart. Okay, I like that. It's a good amount of shimmer, but not too much. Okay, so I'm going to tip this in the light so you guys can see it. See how we get that beautiful little sparkly shimmer? Isn't that pretty? Hi, Mindy. Oh, it's nice to have you here. So yes, we have that pretty shimmer across that. I just like that. That creates that perfect golden hour, as Sylvia said. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside to dry while we work on getting our butterflies cut out. Like I said, I don't mind fussy cutting. These are pretty easy to cut out because they're not too super detailed. I'm going to use my Simon Says Stamp fine detail scissors for this. So I'm just going to come through, cut them apart so that way I don't accidentally ding one of my other ones. But then I'm just going to come through with my scissors and just work on fussy cutting these. And I like to leave a little bit of a white border just to kind of simulate the effect that the dies would. But if you wanted to, you could cut these like right up to the edge if you wanted. Okay. But then this way I can pop these up off of the card and it'll give some dimension to the background. Because then you'll have these as the focal, like they'll be in the foreground and then the flowers will be in the background. So it just makes the scene a little bit more lifelike. All right, see how quick and easy that was? It just pops right out. And this one's gonna be super easy because he's so tiny. And when I'm working with scissors like this to fussy cut something out, if you notice I'm moving the paper, not really the scissors, you're gonna get a smoother cut. You're not gonna have any of those jaggedy edges. I'm not moving the scissors like that scissor motion. I'm letting the blade just kind of run along the paper as I turn it. Okay, there's that teeny tiny little butterfly. Pick up the trash and then we'll get this one cut out. Now my thought is, I pulled out a couple of packs of Simon Says Stamps foam squares because I want to have my sentiment on this card popped up. I know that for sure. We're going to make a birthday card and I'm going to use the birthday greeting from the stamp set. But I figured if I was going to add these butterflies, I wouldn't want them at the same level of dimension as the sentiment. So I'm going to use not just the 3D foam squares, that's the regular like height of dimension for your foam tape, but I'm also going to use the thin 3D foam squares, which are about half the thickness. So it'll just give me some varying depth. Okay, so we've got our butterflies ready. And they're going to go on our background somewhere. But I want to get my sentiment stamped so that way I can figure out where that's going and then place the butterflies accordingly. So we're going to use the happy birthday sentiment from the stamp set. And I am not exactly sure which color I want. I did pull out quite a few different colors of cardstock so that way I could play around with the colors and see which one I like. I'm thinking the sentiment's going to go along the bottom so that way then the butterflies can be up in the top. So let's take a peek at some cardstock. I'm going to use my swatch first, just so that way that'll be easier to kind of pair. Oh, the teal would look really pretty. That's Simon's, let's see, that's the Paper Source Peacock, but Simon Says Stamps Peacock is about the same color. I have like a little collection of Paper Source cardstocks. I don't even know if they still have all these colors. But the Simon Says Stamp Peacock would be pretty. Let's see. I wouldn't want to go super, I don't think I want to go super green. I could. I mean, there's always the tried and true black. It could go black, but that's too dark. Nope. And I think the yellow is going to be too much. Okay, we're heading to the green and teals here. What do you guys think? Green or teal for the sentiment? I've got some varying greens, or we could go with like a dark teal. So what do you guys think? Green or teal as the sentiment color? And so then we'll be using this happy birthday for that sentiment. So I'm gonna emboss that probably with white. Valerie definitely thinks teal. I'm leaning towards the teal. Green, teal. We've got Allison saying teal. Monica says teal. Okay, everybody's saying teal for the most part. Sylvia likes the bright green. Okay, we're gonna go with the teal. So let me grab my teal. So I've got Simon Says Stamped Peacock for the teal. And I don't have any scraps, so I'm going to trim this down. I just need like a chunk of it, so give myself a little extra. And I'm going to fussy cut the sentiment. Cats, I do have lavender. Yeah, I have lots of lavender. There's lavender in the flowers, but I think I would want to stick with something, because I'm going to put it down here. I want to stick with something in the green and teal color area. I just think that will match better. But you could definitely do a lavender. I've got lots of purples too. Okay. Let's see, my Misty. Bring that back in. Move my butterflies. I'm using my larger Misty today. Normally I would reach for my smaller one, but because we were stamping off the paper, this is the one I pulled out. Okay. I always prep the surface of my paper. Let me zoom out just a little. I always prep the surface of my paper with a powder tool prior to stamping. This is the Simon Says Stamp powder tool. This one's really nice because the powder is contained inside of the jar, so you don't get the powder on your hands, and it's got a really nice soft brush. So I'm just tapping it onto the paper to get some of the powder to come out, and then I brush it across. All right, let's see. We need embossing ink, so I'm using Simon Says Stamp Clear, and I'm just going to ink up my stamp. And I like to stamp my sentiments twice, because when I'm using embossing ink and my pad is juicy, I don't want to have the sentiment get kind of blobby. So I'm very light when I press on this. But because I'm light, I'm worried I don't stamp fully. And so I just go back through one more time just to get a good impression. I'm then ensured of the fact that my impression is going to be pretty good. So, stamp that down. That looks really cute. Move that out of the way. I've got a little coffee filter here so I can catch my powder. I pulled out the Simon Says Stamp white embossing powder. And we're just going to go ahead and sprinkle that over top. Tap off the excess. And that looks really good. I do have a little like hair there. It's probably a cat hair. Just going to clean that up. The never-ending cat hairs that I find on everything. And because I'm a klutz, this needs to get cleaned up now, because otherwise I will spill it at some point across the desk. I am like the klutziest person. If it can happen, I'll make sure it happens. All right, so we got to heat set this. I'm going to bring in my heat tool again. I do like to emboss from the back side first. It kind of helps minimize the warping. So I start off on the back and then I bring it to the front. And then that helps keep the paper from warping as much. There's always cat hair in your house too, Cat. Yeah. It's everywhere. And like sometimes it's like, how do I cleaned. How is it still here? All right, so I want to go ahead and fussy cut this out. Let me also brush off any of that powder just to clean that off. Now I can come through with my scissors and just cut this out. I'm just going to kind of create like a little halo. And I just, as I go along, I'll pop off any spots with my scissors that I don't want to have in my way. So like this extra piece here, I'm just going to cut that off so it's not in my way as I'm cutting. And just go around. And when you're going around your, like this round area of the sentiment, when that technique I was talking about, how you turning your paper instead of moving the scissors, that's how you get a really nice smooth cut. Is that way you're not getting that jaggedy edge. The soft curve of the paper from rotating creates a really nice edge. And then you just meet back up with where you stopped. And there we go. I think that looks pretty good. Clean up all my scraps. You've got 5 cats, Cheryl? Oh my gosh. That is a lot of cats. I mean, I'm not far behind with 4, but... Okay, we'll zoom in just a little bit here so you can see better. All right. I've got my butterflies. I've got my sentiment. The sentiment is going down here somewhere. But let me put foam tape on the back of this. Because... this is kind of my trick that I use when I'm playing around and I'm not sure with what I want for my placement yet. I'll bring my foam tape in, but I'll leave the release papers still adhered to the foam squares so I can still slide it around. So I've got my piece here, but because they're still on, the release paper is still on the back of the foam, I can maneuver it. And then these guys, they're going to get... So I used the 3D foam squares for the sentiment. These guys are going to get adhered with the thin 3D foam squares. So let me pull those out. So these are about half the thickness, as you can see. They're pretty thin. But it's nice because then you get that varying dimension. Okay, so now we got to figure out where we want these. So I'm just going to keep the release paper on the back side, although I bent that one. Hold on, we gotta peel that off. I bent that foam square as I was putting it down. There we go. Okay. So then I can start fiddling with the placement here. Ooh, that's kind of cute. And then decide how I want that. Oh, I actually kind of like that right there. That looks cool. Yeah, I think we're gonna go with that. So let's go ahead and remove the release paper. That was easy. Didn't have to fiddle with that too much. And then just pop these down, make sure it's straight. Let's see. Your dog has long hair. You're constantly sweeping with vacuuming. Yeah, I know. That, and then like with the cat litter boxes. Oh my goodness. The litter. My cats, I swear, the girls, I think, are scared of what they leave in the litter boxes because they will literally use the litter box and then they, from 2 boxes over, because we have 4 boxes of litter because we have 4 cats, the theory is you're supposed to have a box for each cat. Well, the girls will use 1 box and then they'll move over like 2 boxes and try to cover what's in that other box from 2 away. And it's like, you are making a mess. Oh, it cracks me up every time. It's like, well, you can tell the girls were in here. All right, so this is going to go on a card base. I did pull out a Simon Says stamp white card base. I think that's what I'm going to use here. I think that looks pretty. I mean, I could do a colored cardstock if I wanted. But I feel like that might distract. Let's see. That's like a purpley blue. And then I have like a light blue. No, I like the white. I think I'm going to go with the white. But I do want to add some sequins because I don't know about you, but I can't get enough of sequins. Oh, my mom's here. Anne Marie Trapani Art's my mom. Hi, Mom. So glad you could join me. I'm making a completely different card, Mom, than what I was telling you I was going to make. See, I was talking to my mom earlier this morning as I was prepping for the live stream, and she was like, oh, can I get a sneak peek of what you're doing? And so I was showing her. Well, if she's just joining now, she's going to be very surprised with what I ended up creating, because it was not at all what I was working on. I was working on critters, and I had a completely different color palette. And now we're somehow at flowers with more of a bright, cheery rainbow of colors. But I'm happy with how this is turning out. Oh, Pauline, so glad you're here. We're not too late. We're still finishing up. Okay, so popped this up onto my card. Mary Reiner. Oh, hi, Mary. Mary, I got your card in the mail. Mary sent me such a beautiful card. I loved it. I was so excited to receive one of her cards. She's so talented. Okay, so these are the sequins that I'm thinking of. Isn't this yummy? I am like dreamy over this. So these are the Simon Says Stamp Pastel Ice sequins. These came out, I think, in the release before, prior, which was Favorite Things. But they are just so yummy. I mean, like, talk about spring. Like, I love these. So I thought these would look cute, kind of layered up on top of this card. So I'm going to pull out my Simon Says Stamp Craft Tacky Glue. This dries clear, so it's really great for sequins because it also holds really well. So I got to figure out, though, the placement of these, where I want them. And I'm kind of thinking, I feel like I want to create like a little trail with these butterflies. So I feel like generally they're going to kind of go like this. I think that's going to look cute. So we just got to start figuring out where exactly we want them. So I'm using the Simon Says Stamp Place and Pierce tool for this. And I'm just going to kind of start picking up some sequins here. There's like pink, purple, teal, like a corally color in here, a little green. So it's not quite like a full rainbow, but it's like a pastel kind of rainbow. It's pretty. Let's see. So I want to make sure I get a mix of sizes too, because you don't want them all the same. It won't create as much variation. Let's see. Sherilyn, I know, right? Isn't this like just sequined heaven? Like, I could just look at this. I mean, this is partially why it's sitting in this dish, is because I had it just sitting there. And I love it so much, I kind of didn't want to put it away. I had it out from another card that I was working on the other day. So this has been sitting in this dish for a while. Let's see. Kind of popping these around, trying to figure out the best placement. I don't want them to look too close together, so I'm just kind of trying to, again, go up this little like trail where it kind of goes above the greeting. And I want to make sure I get a mix of colors, that I don't have all of them the same. And just kind of pop these around. This is looking cute. I really like too that this feels bright and cheery, but it doesn't feel like overly rainbow. It feels just springy. Let's see. And this Place and Pierce tool has a wax tip. It makes it pretty easy to pick these up. So as you're moving them around, it's easy to kind of like pick them up, shift them, and they're not sticking to the tool a ton. So it allows you to kind of fiddle with it. Let's see. I'm thinking, ooh, I like that. So I need one more over here. I'm talking out loud as I'm thinking through this. And you just kind of shift and play. This is why I like to play with it first before I fully commit. Okay, I think I like that. Monica wants more pink. I could add maybe one more pink. Maybe I switch out the green here. Hold on, let's try a pink one. And put a pink one. Oh, actually, I like that. That was a good idea, Monica. Add more pink. Okay. I think let's go with that one. We'll go with this mix. This one could be pink, though. See, I'm sitting here overthinking it. I don't have to, but I am. Okay. I'm not going to overthink it anymore now. Let's go ahead and glue them down. And pop them into place. And just pop a little glue here and there. And if I do, I'm trying to put just a small dot of glue down, but if for some reason I get a little too much, this glue does dry clear, so if you have any glue that's like outside the sequin, you won't notice it. And that is one of the things I love about this glue, is it's very convenient. And it's very strong. Like I could glue like heavier embellishments and stuff with this, and it will hold really nice. Okay, I like this. Isn't this pretty? So we got that dreamy, beautiful shimmer back there from the shimmer spray. That was the Brutus Monroe shimmer spray, the pearl. And then I added then the sequins for a little bit extra, but that just looks so cool. Oh, I'm so happy with how this turned out. I hope you guys liked it too. Does anybody have any questions? I had a lot of fun making this. It's been nice to be able to get back into the live stream too. I've had to take a little bit of time off just for personal things, but it's nice to be back and be able to get back into the groove of doing some live streams. So I hope you guys had fun seeing this. Thank you, Sheila. Yeah, Laura, I love the sequins. It really tied it all together. Oh, good, Kat. I hope you'll try this one. This one was a lot of fun. You're gonna have a lot of fun with these stencils. Just take a peek at the guide on the stencils. That'll help you match up with the stamp set, so that way you know which part of the stencil goes where. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, I loved how this card turned out. I was so happy with it. Completely different direction than what I was originally planning. Like I said, if you missed the beginning, I was going for critters, and it wasn't working out. I was just having one of those days where I was trying to get it to work, and I felt like I was forcing it. And I was just like, you know what? Let's change gears. I gotta find something else to play with. So I wanted to play again with this stamp set, because I've used the stamp set to make a couple cards already. This was the Butterfly Blossoms set from Simon Says Stamp. And so I had fun making other cards with it. They were very different. They were distressed with crayons. I was doing a lot of like inky techniques with that video. You can find that one in my YouTube library. But so it was fun to be able to play with it again with a different type of techniques and more clean, more simplified. So it was fun to be able to like break that back out and use it again for something else. Oh, good. You just got the kit. Oh, you got the dies too, Kat? Oh, lucky you, because I don't have them yet. I have them in my cart, but I have to actually place the order. That would help, right? Oh, well, thank you everyone for joining me. This was a quick card, but I hope you got something out of it and enjoyed being part of the live stream with me. I'm so glad you came by and spent some time with me today. So until next time, I will see you soon. This will be a regular thing. You'll see me live more often. But I also have some other videos coming up here too in the next week, featuring just some other different products and whatnot. So hope you'll tune into those, and then also I'll see you in the next live too. So thanks everyone. Have a great rest of your weekend.